Hey, I don't know if you've heard the news. CM Punk is back in WWE. Wow. I have to admit, even saying the words right now, I am surprised. This is not something I expected. Though last night, the internet decided that I actually was much more prophetic than I'm giving myself credit for. Let's go back to last night on the kickoff
Some of
show.
the
This
best in the
moment here.
world. Chicago Survivor Series War Game.
And they're excited. The amount of
How sure of it I was, except I had no idea what was happening. It was hilarious to see the amount of places that like tweeted about it as if I actually had the inside track on some bit of information. If you've been listening to me on Cheap Heat, the podcast, which you can find on the Ringer every single Tuesday and every single Friday, you would know that I have been very far on the side of CM Punk is not coming back to WWE. I just did not see it. There was no part of me that thought this was going to happen. So, as much as I would love to get credit for dropping some sort of major hint last night, number one, I didn't know anything. And number two, I wouldn't risk blowing a major state secret just to pop the internet. So, essentially, when the show started and the crowd was going crazy, I just naturally said, these are the best wrestling fans in the world. Now, I corrected myself immediately because New York has the greatest wrestling fans in the world. So I said, some of the best in the world. But the internet immediately believed that I was onto something. Not only was I not onto something, at that moment, no part of me thought CM Punk was coming back. I still was in the same place I was a few months ago. Now, obviously, if you love WWE as much as we all do, we know the history. People come back. People with real beefs that go much deeper than the Punk WWE beef goes, have come back before. We know that. Ultimate Warrior came back. Bret Hart came back. This goes on. And Bruno Sammartino came back. Many people who at one point were persona non grata did business and came back to WWE. Knowing that, you have to know there's a possibility that CM Punk would at some point walk that aisle again. I just didn't think it made sense given the way that the bridges had been burned at both WWE and AEW. And I've argued about this before. I don't think that there are that many sexy dream matches out there for CM Punk at this stage in his career. CM Punk is no spring chicken. He ain't no baby, as a wise man once said. Wait.
Chicken, I'm no baby.
Say it again.
I'm no spring chicken, I'm no baby.
That's right. CM Punk is 45 as we speak, just turned 45 years old, which, depending on the shape you keep yourself in this business, could be good for another 10 years. Hell, we've seen it be good for another 20 years. Hell, in the case of Ric Flair, might be good for 30 years. But I just didn't know how much is out there. Like, is the world clamoring for CM Punk, Roman Reigns? Well, after last night, they may be clamoring for CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and that is what people are speculating you're going to get because, and if so, this was done beautifully because they didn't show it on TV, but all the videos that came out afterwards from people's social media were tremendous. Seth Rollins giving middle fingers, being held back by Michael Cole and Corey Graves, referees, officials. Sets up a beautiful, beautiful situation here as we head into Monday Night Raw tomorrow. And now we know CM Punk officially advertised for Monday Night Raw. Oh, by the way, Randy Orton came back last night as well. By the way, R-Truth came back as well. And I just found there to be a little bit of irony in terms of the level of celebration that the fans have about CM Punk. versus the level of celebration you see backstage when R-Truth comes back. A different sort of reaction based on how much people love Ron Killings. The man is the greatest. So it was a very eventful Survivor Series War Games. Now, no matter what was for show and what was reality, with the way that everyone reacted to Punk's arrival, particularly the aforementioned Seth Rollins, you have to imagine it's a little irritating that everyone goes through this big Survivor Series War Games match. They're still standing in the ring celebrating. And this dude who left and has now sort of done whatever he's been doing the last 10 years is back in the middle of your sort of celebration at the end of this night. Obviously, the whole crowd goes crazy. I mean, listen, I'm going to tell you something right now. First of all, listen, everyone has loved CM Punk moments at one point or another. Everyone's a fan of CM Punk on some level. You either enjoy his promos, you've enjoyed his matches, you enjoyed a specific run, you enjoyed the Summer of Punk, you enjoyed him and Cena, him and Rock. There's something that you have probably really, straight edge society, there's been something Punk that you've really enjoyed. But I am telling you right now, no human being who is outside of the city of Chicago understands the CM Punk love the way Chicagoans do. If your area code's not 312 or 773, isn't there also like a 647? What's the other one? If you're not from Chicago, Chicagoland, if you're not a Chicagoan, it doesn't hit the same. I mean, I understand being stoked. The way that building blew up last night, the way the roof came off of the Allstate Arena last night, you would have thought CM Punk had not been in a building for wrestling in 15 years. When in fact, he had been in Chicago doing shows within the last year. It's an unbelievable love. Say what you will. I respect the level of loyalty that you get from the Chicago wrestling fan to CM Punk. Now, how will that feel tomorrow night in Nashville? My guess is it'll still feel pretty electric. Where do we go from here, though? Seemingly, based on the way that these social media videos have played out, you would think Seth Rollins is first, and it would be perfect, right? If you get some sort of build here between Seth and Punk, as we sit, and I record this on November 26th, December 20th, January, 4.5 months. CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. Not going to lie, there's something to that. One night Roman Cody, another night Seth Punk. Okay. Now, I don't know how many things there are to do with Punk. And furthermore, I wonder what sort of deal this is with Punk. I wonder, given everything that's happened, is it somewhat probationary? Like, let's see how this goes. You know, I don't know. How much freedom does he have tomorrow night? Because I'll tell you, to me, what sealed CM Punk's fate at AEW. It wasn't the press conference from hell, in my opinion. That is not, to me, what sealed CM Punk's fate at AEW. What sealed CM Punk's fate to me was when they brought him back for Collision, a show reportedly kind of created for CM Punk. And he got the mic in his hand on that first episode of Collision. And he never at any point in a real way, he made a couple of cute allusions, but never in a real way talked about the press conference and his issues with the Elite. My guess is, of course, that wasn't his doing. That was what TK wanted. Tony Khan thought this is not the move. Whatever it was, people said, oh, there was legal stuff. Whatever it was, I don't know. I can't speak to the business of it at all. But I know for me, as a fan of sports entertainment, pro wrestling, whatever you want to call it, when you have an incredible real life backstage drama like the one that existed with Punk and that press conference. He comes back months later with a mic in his hand, and he just starts getting into some wrestling. I got a problem with so and so. That title's not real. I want to get into, and you're not talking about the elephant in the room. At that moment, I said the character's dead here. There is no CM Punk character I can believe in AEW anymore, because the story that really happened, and that fans, especially the kind of fans who love CM Punk, especially the kind of fans who tune into AEW programming, they are there to sink their teeth into something that is based in reality. And when that opportunity passed, to me, that was the end. Of course, then Wembley Stadium happens. Here we are. And now you look up at the WWE roster, which was already loaded and dominant, has been. And they now have added Cody Rhodes, Jade Cargill, and CM Punk. There are only a few names, obviously the number one being Maxwell Jacob Friedman. There are only a few names out there that AEW has that at this point they can really hang their hat on. And frankly, I just don't understand. I was having a conversation last night. I don't understand the positioning of MJF sometimes at AEW. He should be front and center on absolutely everything that's done because he's yours for now. So there it is. CM Punk is in WWE. We have a lot going on between now, the Royal Rumble at the end of January. I mean, can you imagine now the situation? Is Punk going to be in the Rumble? Is Punk going to have a match at the Rumble? How do other people who have had known issues with CM Punk feel? You know, is there such thing as like a real locker room cancer? Could that exist here? Or are we sort of in an era where that's not even a thing? The schedule's different. People aren't out nearly as much as they used to be. They're not with each other as much as they used to be. There are a lot of adults in that locker room. Does it really matter? Because unlike where Punk is coming from, the WWE locker room is a very sort of tranquil, chill place right now with good relationships and professionals. And I'm not saying that there aren't good relationships and professionals at AEW, but there was some fundamental piece that clearly was missing. And it will be interesting to see whether someone with Punk's demeanor, personality, controversial nature, whether that has any effect in WWE the way that it did when he was at AEW. But I'll tell you one thing. As of November 26, 2023, last night's Survivor Series War Games was a huge W for WWE. A lot of things happened in college football. A lot of things happened throughout sports yesterday, and everyone was talking about the return of CM Punk to WWE. We'll see what happens Monday. We'll talk about it on Cheap Heat on Tuesday.